Cleared of more than 280 others. He now faces 20 years to life in prison. Ghailani was found not guilty in the murders of all 224 people, including Edith Bartley's brother Jay and her father Julian. She joins me now, and thank you very much for being here.
Thank you for having me.
What you went through, I can't even imagine. And then you hear yesterday about this decision. What goes through your mind?
As families, we were completely stunned. It's really unbelievable to comprehend how this jury could have come to the verdict that they did of guilty of only one count of conspiracy. There was so much evidence before them. We do think that potentially there was confusion over the many stipulations that were used within these court proceedings, so therefore there was not as much evidence that was discussed in court. Stipulations were fact that were agreed to by both sides. But it's a travesty. My father was a career diplomat for nearly 30 years. My brother was an intern. All of these families come from across the country. There are 3 African-American families, 7 Caucasian families from all sectors. And these are the types of people who serve and work in our American embassies worldwide. And our country has an obligation to go after every terrorist who has committed these heinous acts on humanity and try them to the fullest extent of the law. We also feel strongly that where to try these terrorists should not become a political issue. Ghailani was part of the initial indictment in 2001, where 4 members of Al-Qaeda were tried and convicted in federal court in New York for participating in the bombings of our American embassies in East Africa, and that was a successful trial.
Well, as you know, the other side makes an argument, and they say, look, first of all, what differentiates us from the terrorists and from much of the rest of the world is our criminal justice system, that they were heard by a jury of Americans who I'm sure took their duties very seriously, and all the concerns that were raised about this trial, concerns about security, concerns about the defendant grandstanding, none of those concerns came to pass. So what do you say to people who say it is the best of America to put them on trial? He was convicted. He will stay behind bars, likely for life. The prosecutors will ask for life.
Yes, and he should be kept behind bars for life. It's unfortunate. We would have liked to have seen this jury find him guilty of all counts, as he is. He's guilty of much more than just conspiracy. At the same time, we want to underscore to our advocates in Congress, which include both Republicans and Democrats on both sides of the aisle, that this should not become a political issue. We've got to come together and fight these terrorists and try them to the fullest extent of the law. In addition to that, our families, yesterday was just heartbreaking to see this verdict, and on top of that, for the fact that 12 years now we have worked hard to try to get some type of legislation passed on behalf of our families through bipartisan support in both chambers, and after 12 years we still have not reached resolution on that. So on top of that, to have this verdict come out yesterday, it's heart-wrenching, but we've got to, as a country, continue to use our resources to track down these terrorists. Ghailani, again, was part of the original indictment in 2001. He was apprehended in Pakistan years later, and there were at least 20 people on that original indictment in 2001. We've only had 5 people who have been tried and convicted for their connection to these embassy bombings, and we've got to make sure that we get every single one. It's unconscionable. This was the really starting point for 9/11, and a lot of people don't understand that. It was on American soil. It was Al-Qaeda. It was half a world away.
Edith Bartley, it's kind of you to take the time to talk to us. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
The investigation into Bernie